All right, guys. So today I'm going to talk about starting your channel from scratch because a lot of people come to me and they're like, Shane, the numbers you're talking about are crazy. I don't think that I can get there quickly. And if you choose the right niche and you follow this roadmap the way that you're supposed to, you absolutely can get there relatively quickly. Okay. So I'm going to talk about, starting your channel from scratch and the strategies you need to keep in mind to build towards and scale to 50K to 100K per month. All right. So again, this is going to be a roadmap. I'm going to tell you what to do and in what order to do it in. This is going to be relatively high level, but it is going to tell you like a lot of the stuff you need to really focus on, especially at the beginning. And a lot of this stuff, guys, is stuff where I just see people making these mistakes over and over again, right? So start off with number one, which is brand positioning. So you see this all the time where people will position themselves as experts when they're not experts. And then a lot of the time they are an expert, but they don't position themselves correctly. So let's just say, for instance, you aren't an expert on something, but you are wanting to become an expert on it. You should position yourself as a learner. And you should just share your journey as you're becoming an expert. Share what you're learning along the way. And there's a lot of advantages to doing this. You've seen, I'm sure, like most of you are going to be watching this on Twitter. You guys have seen all these different Twitter accounts that did this. They shared their journey and now they're huge. And it's refreshing when people are actually just sharing their journey along the way. And hey, these Twitter accounts are still making a ton of money. Because honestly, a lot of the time, it's better to hire somebody who's just a little bit ahead of you rather than to hire someone who's like a world-class expert at something. You're just going to be able to relate to them more. And they were in the trenches very, like they were just in the trenches. And so they know exactly what it's like to grow a channel or do whatever you're teaching them at the time that they're doing it, right? And so positioning yourself is very important. Now, if you can position yourself as an expert, you should, because there are a lot of advantages to positioning yourself as an expert. But if you're not an expert, don't position yourself as an expert because especially if you're selling a high ticket product to a sophisticated audience, people are going to be able to sniff that out right away. If you're not an expert, man, I can't tell you how cringe it is when I see these YouTube coaches that, have like 100 subscribers on their main channel, right? Like just super cringe. You know what I mean? So don't position yourself as an expert if you aren't one. Position yourself as a learner. Very important. Now, some other things that we want to talk about. High effort versus low effort content. Guys, I'm telling you right now, do not make high effort content. Make low effort content. Can't tell you how important this is, guys. I see this huge mistake people make over and over again is they try to make high effort content right off the rip. They see Iman Gadzhi's amazing marketing videos, with this intricate storyline and the world's about to end and the Matrix and, they're coming to get you and all that stuff. And then they try to do it themselves and they fail. They fall flat on their face. They flop. And there's so many reasons why you shouldn't do this, guys, and the biggest one, I could go over reason after reason after reason for like 20 minutes, but the biggest one is when you're first starting your channel, you want to find what your niche is. And you might be thinking, oh, Shane, I already know my niche. No, you don't. You want to find those video ideas that have a starving crowd of people that are starving to consume that type of content. And there's nobody else, or there's very few other people that are providing that type of content. That's what you want. You want to find, it's almost like evolution. You're finding your role in the ecosystem. Like there's other animals that are already fulfilling certain roles in the ecosystem. There's like a giant freaking crocodile, a bunch of crocodiles in the river. Well, guess what? You probably shouldn't try to dominate the riverways. There's a bunch of giant crocodiles that have been dominating the earth for 300 million years. You know what I mean? Probably should find your role somewhere else in the ecosystem. And the only way you can do that is by posting a lot of videos and by trying out a lot of different ideas. And when you try out a bunch of different ideas, if you're trying to make high effort content, you're not going to be able to post a lot of videos. Each video is going to take you probably a week or more to make, maybe even like a couple weeks, maybe even like a month to make. When in reality, you should be trying to hit 3 videos per week, but do low effort, authentic content instead. Okay, when you're first starting, you need to make low effort, authentic content. We're talking about listicles, how-tos, sharing your journey, sharing what you've learned, this type of thing. Stuff that when you're an expert, for instance, for me, I can talk about YouTube off the top of my head. I don't need any script to talk about YouTube. Sometimes I'll write out a little card. I'll write out a few points on a card just so that I have some structure to what I'm saying. But other than that, I don't need any script to talk about YouTube because I'm an expert on YouTube. I know YouTube like the back of my hand. But if you're not an expert on something, you have to write out a script, of course, because you're not an expert. So you have to like memorize what you're going to say. But instead of doing that, what you should do is just share your journey, share what you're learning, like how I got my first $3,000 client, right? That's awesome. There's going to be so many people out there that are inspired by that. My first time cold calling. I saw this guy make a video about this. I absolutely love this. I even commented on his channel. This guy is awesome. Hopefully I find the right one. This guy right here, Moan, okay? Look how many views this video got. And his channel had like basically 0 subscribers. SMMA beginners first time cold calling, brutal. It got 308,000 views, dude. That's because he's positioning himself correctly. He's not faking it before he's making it. He's not pretending like he's an expert when he's not. But pretty soon, if he keeps it up like this, he is going to be an expert. Or at least he's going to get really close to it here pretty soon. It won't take that long if he keeps up the good work. So this is beautiful. This is what I love to see right here. So share your journey, guys. How I landed my first client. How I landed my first sales call. How I can, my first live sales call, and then you just show the sales call, and then you maybe like, blur out the person's name and their information and all that. Sharing this kind of stuff, being vulnerable, being authentic. That's the kind of content you want to make, guys. It's not hard to make. He literally just recorded his first sales call. It didn't take him any extra effort at all, right? So that's how you want to do that. Always make low effort, high value content, especially when you're beginning. Now, later on down the line, if you want to go mass market, then you can start making high value, like more higher effort content, or, highly edited content, that kind of thing. I do that on my main channel, but I'm doing that for a very specific purpose. I don't recommend that for any beginner, and just about nobody who ends up eventually going mass market started off mass market. Nobody starts off mass market from the rip. Everybody starts off niche, and that's what you should do as well. Solve real problems for real people that have real money, right? And that's the other thing. Target people who actually have money. You don't want to be targeting brokies. All right, so another thing we want to talk about is controversial versus family friendly. So this is one where you could honestly do either one, but one of your advantages when you're small is you can actually be pretty controversial and get away with it. And so I'll just give you guys an example. Meet Kevin. When he was first starting on YouTube, he called out a lot of the big players in the space. Actually, I don't even know. Let's see, Dave Ramsey. I think he called out Dave Ramsey. Yeah, it was over. I was just sent to court. Confronting Dave Ramsey. Meet Kevin exposed the truth about Dave Ramsey. He might have deleted the videos, but I remember. I was there. Okay, I was paying attention to the meta. He definitely called out Dave Ramsey, and he also called out Grant Cardone. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I think he might have deleted the videos. Oh, here we go. Grant Cardone and Cardone Capital exposed. So he did this when he was first growing, when he was just a little tiny baby channel. And that grew his channel a lot faster. He even called out Graham Stephan, but he did it in a nice way because he, I don't think he had any issues with Graham Stephan, but he kind of called him out, made a little bit of drama, and kind of positioned the video like there was a little bit of drama. But in reality, he just disagreed with like one thing that Graham Stephan said, and he just explained his point. And then he was able to actually form a relationship with Graham Stephan, and that was amazing for his channel as well. So when you're small, you can make controversial content, and everybody who's intelligent knows that you never punch down, right? You never punch down to people who are smaller than you. And so you can make a little bit controversial content, call some people out. Don't be an absolute idiot about it. You don't want to attract an entire audience of trolls. Also, never attack somebody's like their self. Like never attack their character. Attack their ideas. Right? Like, I disagree with this person's idea. Right? You can get away with doing that when you're small. So you might as well do it. Now, if you don't want to do that, totally understand. You can always make family-friendly content as well. But it is an option for you, and you don't really have to take that much risk, because realistically speaking, hey, I'm not a lawyer or anything, but realistically speaking, if you're not making a lot of money, if you got a tiny channel, I don't think anyone's going to sue you. And as long as you're attacking their ideas and not their character, they're not going to sue you anyways, right? So you can make some controversial content. Then we've got broad versus niche topics. Guys, niche. Do not try to tackle broad topics. It's not as profitable per view, for one, like not even close. So if you guys don't believe me, I'm going to literally show you. I spent like 100 hours making this, and I'm going to literally show you. I went through and I listened to a bunch of different income reports from different YouTubers and different people who are making most of their money on YouTube. And some of them are making mass market content, and then some of them are making niche content. Look how much people are making per 1,000 views with niche content. Charlie Morgan, 7,000. Serge Guittari, 5,000. Boyd Cluess, $9,000 per 1,000 views. Then you look at mass market content, even if they're selling a high ticket product, only making about $500 per 1,000 views. So yeah, they're getting a lot more views, but they're making way less money per 1,000 views. And then you look at a channel like Iman Ghazi. He's still crushing it. He's doing like $2 million a month, but he's only making about $200 per 1,000 views, because he sells medium ticket product and he does mass market content. So I don't recommend doing mass market content for many reasons. You can get just a pretty low amount of views, honestly, not that high, and you can make a ton of money as long as you're doing niche content and you're solving real problems for real people that have real money, and you're selling a high ticket product. Okay. So highly, highly recommend you do niche content at the very beginning. These are the things that you dial these in at the beginning, guys, because I'm telling you right now, this is the thing that makes a huge difference. Now, let's briefly go over the taxonomy of a YouTube channel. There's actually a great article about this on the internet. Let's see if I can find it really quickly for you guys. Yeah, I think I actually found it. This is good. So this was an article by Tube Filter, an excellent, excellent article about the taxonomy of a YouTube channel. You can just type this into Google and you'll be able to find it. I read this years ago, and man, this made so much sense to me. And basically, the biggest thing about this is focusing on the format of the video. That's the thing that makes the biggest difference, is focusing on the format of your video. So are you making reaction content? Are you making interview content? Are you making how-to? Are you making listicle style content? Are you making testimonials? Are you making, what type of content are you making? Because one huge mistake I see people make when they first start their channel is they're making a bunch of different types of content, all kinds of different types of content. And that is a recipe for disaster, because my two favorite shows are Breaking Bad and The Office. Breaking Bad is a gritty drama. The Office is a dry humor. If I were to click on The Office and all of a sudden Breaking Bad pops up, even though I love the show, I would be disappointed, because the expectation was different than the reality, right? And when you make content in all these different types of formats, you're screwing yourself over. So you need to pick one format, or maybe two formats max, and make content just in those formats. So how-tos and listicles are my personal favorites. Another really good one, if you're making podcast style content, is like interviews with people that are, crushing it. That can do extremely well too. But pick a taxonomy, pick a format, and stick with that format, because your viewers are going to be used to you making that type of content. And if you start making a different type of content, like reaction videos or something, it's just not going to work. it's just not going to work for your channel, because they're going to click on it. They're going to be like, oh, this doesn't feel the same way it usually feels. And they're going to click off. Right. So, or maybe they don't even click on it in the first place. So the second is cheat codes for selecting your niche. And here's the honest cheat code, guys. There's so much that can be said about this, but I'd say 95% of the time, the best thing you can do is just make content for the younger version of yourself. This might be the version of yourself 1 month ago. It might be the version of yourself 2 years ago. But this is exactly what I did. I made content for the younger version of myself, because when I first started on my YouTube channel, I was really pissed off about college. I thought I got screwed over in college. A bunch of my friends were pissed off about college as well. The US college system is an absolute mess. And so I kind of went on a little bit of a crusade against college. And I wanted to help other people out there that were in a similar situation to me, who are thinking about, okay, am I going to go to college? If I do go to college, which college degree am I going to pick? That kind of thing. And I really wanted to help those people, because I wish that there had been someone like that for me when I was choosing to go to college and whether I was going to get a college degree. And, that's exactly what I did. So I was making content for the younger version of myself. And it just happens to be that there are millions of other people out there that were interested in that exact content as well. And, the thing is like, you're honestly not a snowflake. I think we all know this, but if you have certain problems, there's probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people out there that have the same exact problem. And so just make content for the younger version of yourself on problems that you used to have that you solved, right? It's that simple. That is the cheat code for selecting your niche. It's really that simple. Then you want to focus on the holy trifecta, guys. Now, there's one thing that I skipped here, which is picking video ideas. And the reason I skipped that is because I've already made like a couple of videos entirely on that. Just look back through my Twitter or look back through the history and you're going to see those videos. But video ideas are incredibly important, and you need to be able to nail those. I use what's known as the icon method to nail those. So very important to do that. But after the video idea, after you've picked it, you want to do what's known as the holy trifecta. And this is the video title, the video thumbnail, and the intros and hooks. And these people mess this up all the time, because they will pick a title that doesn't make sense with the thumbnail. Like, emotionally speaking, the title and the thumbnail don't make sense with each other. Or let's just say they nail the title and the thumbnail. They'll do an intro that doesn't make sense with the title and the thumbnail. So all three of those things you should do together, and you should do before you make the video. Do all those three things together and before you make the video. At least have a concept in your head of what you want for the title and the thumbnail before you make the video. Very important that you do that. For instance, if your title is really negative, like avoid these 5 agency traps, if you're making content about agencies, and your thumbnail is really negative too. It's like you looking with a scared face or something. And then your intro is like, hey guys, hope you're having a great day. Today I wanted to talk about blah, 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 blah. And you're just really positive. Well, it just doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense with the video title and the thumbnail. They're not congruent with each other. You have to make sure that these three things are congruent with each other. And you really want to do it before you make the video. At least you want to have a concept in your head before you make the video for these three things, because it's really going to help you when it comes to planning and just the whole emotion of the video and the whole vibe of the video. All right. So tips for writing better scripts, guys. First of all, if you're a busy business owner, or if you're just a busy person in general, when you first start off, I'm telling you right now, just use a flashcard with bullet points. That's my first tip. Use a flashcard with bullet points. Go through your flashcard. Don't write anything extensive on it. The reason I make you use a flashcard is so that you can avoid writing a bunch, right? Because that's a huge mistake people make. Do not try to read your scripts word for word. Do not try to read your scripts word for word. It won't come across well on camera. It'll come across like very monotone. It takes years. It takes a lot of practice to get good at reading a script word for word. Like a top tier news anchor who seems like that they're talking off the top of their head, but in reality they're reading off of a teleprompter. First of all, you have to have a big room for that, because the teleprompter has to be really far away so that it doesn't see you moving your eyes when you look at it. So you have to have a pretty big room and a big setup in order to properly set up a teleprompter. And second of all, it takes a lot of practice. You have to get really good at, reading words in such a way where it sounds natural. It sounds like you're just conversational and you're just talking off the top of your head. So I don't recommend doing that. Just use a flashcard. Second thing is, keep everything very like bullet points, right? Just keep bullet points. Don't write a bunch out on your flashcard. Just keep bullet points just to remind yourself of the structure of what you want to talk about. So that's the second tip. The third tip, just talk about things that you're either already an expert on, and so it's very easy for you to talk off the top of your head, just like I'm doing right now, or share your journey. Share your journey, share your struggles, share your little wins, share what you've learned, and make it very clear that it's just your opinion, right? It's just your opinion, right? You could be wrong, right? Maybe you're telling them like this tip and it turns out you're wrong, but it's okay because you're just sharing your opinion. You're not trying to act like this is the best way to do things, especially if you're positioning yourself as a learner. Don't do that, right? The next tip would be basically when you're writing these scripts, try to come up with stories to make a point for each one. So stories are incredibly powerful, and try to just remind yourself of stories in real life. And again, just keep it bullet point. Don't write it out. Just think of the story in your head, but try to think of a story for each tip. And tip 5 is actually the fact that we're doing tips. Every single type of content out there is actually a listicle. If you really think about it, every single piece of content out there is really a listicle. Whether it's a how-to. How-tos are like a series of steps that get you to your goal. Listicles are obviously, like 7 best college degrees or something like that, right? 7 best remote jobs. That's a listicle. Obviously, those are in a list. But even other types of content. Interviews. Typically, the interviewer is asking people a list of questions. So that's a listicle. Let's see. Step-by-step guides. Obviously, they're a listicle. Even, if you look at like documentary style content, like Jake Tran, for instance, he makes documentary style content. All of his videos, if you really look close, are just a list. He even goes through the list, right? So you can kind of see, maybe I can find one of these transitions here. You can kind of see he usually goes through and then there's a transition and then it has a name. Yeah, I'm not, you know what? You might just have to watch the content. Yeah. If you've watched any Jake Tran content, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But he usually goes through like 3 or 4 different things. And this is even for like documentary style content, right? So every single type of content is a listicle. So you should treat it like a listicle, right? It's just that simple. Some other tips for writing better scripts. Again, the one thing that I would potentially do word for word is the intro. That's the one thing that you might want to actually nail. You might want to actually write that out because the intro is really important. You want to almost write that out like a piece of copy just to hook people in. So that's another really good tip for scripts. Another really good tip for scripts, this will be the last one, is always put your CTAs. So that's one thing you would write on your card. Your calls to actions to, download your lead magnet or get on a call or, attend a live training or whatever your CTA is. Always do that. So those are 7 great tips for writing better scripts. All right, number 5, YouTube Cash Code Monetization System 2.0. The best ways to monetize YouTube for most people, the absolute best way is going to be a high ticket product, whether this is an agency, a coaching program, a growth partnership, whatever freaking model you want to talk about. The best way to monetize is with high ticket products. Coaching, consulting, agency, online service providing, growth creating, whatever you want to call it. This is absolutely without a doubt the best way to monetize, especially if you're making content for a sophisticated audience, you're making niche content, and you're solving a painful problem. So you're solving a real problem for a real person that has real money, and it's a very painful problem. It's one of the worst problems in their life. Make a high ticket product to solve that problem, guys. I'm telling you, right? Without a doubt, the best way to monetize. Another really good way to monetize that I really like is affiliates. I personally like affiliates because they're just honestly, it's just super passive. And that's the nice thing about it. Now, I actually promoted an affiliate, and I ended up actually getting equity in the company. So that's another way to monetize. And I could talk about that a little bit, but that's not typical. That's kind of a weird thing. And I got that opportunity because I had like a really big channel. And that's kind of what YouTube does for you. When you start growing on YouTube, you get these kind of deals and you get these kind of opportunities. Another way you can monetize is by doing a low ticket product or a membership. Low ticket memberships are really good. And then you upsell people to the high ticket product. That's another really common way of monetizing. Little bit more complicated way of doing things. But, honestly, if you're a beginner, I'd definitely just stick with a high ticket product and I'd skip the low ticket stuff. But it still can be really good. I remember the first time I did a low ticket product type of thing, and I did 8,000 with just the low ticket product alone. And then I immediately made a bunch of sales, and I made 30 to 50,000 like right off the bat. And I was like, holy crap, this is good. But I did 8,000 just with the low ticket alone. So it can be really good. So, and that was just right off the bat. Now, of course, there's other ways to monetize. You can start a software company. You can do sponsorships. You can do all these different things. But honestly, high ticket products and affiliate deals are the two that I would probably focus on. Then if you're a little more advanced, you could do low ticket. And then of course, YouTube AdSense. This is one huge mistake that I see people make is they don't enable ads on their channel. This is a massive mistake because how do you think YouTube makes money? YouTube makes money with ads, guys. And so you want them to be making as much money as possible because then they're going to be incentivized to promote your content. And I guarantee you they're never going to admit this, but I've done like test after test after test, and content that is actually well monetized, content that where ads are enabled, and content where it's actually done in the correct way, where they're going to get a lot of chances to put in ad spots in your videos, outperforms content that isn't. And so you're going to get way more views if you enable monetization and you max out the monetization. And pro tip here, put an ad every 90 to 180 seconds and try to put it at a point in the video where you're just about to make a really interesting point. So it's kind of like a cliffhanger, in an episode, like a serial TV show. It's kind of like a cliffhanger. You're just about to find out who murdered somebody or something like that. That's when you want to put the ad, right? You're just about to reveal what the next thing on the list is. That's when you put the ad every 90 to 180 seconds, right? That's a pro tip for you guys. So I make like 50K per month just off AdSense alone. And it's super passive at this point. If I stopped making content, I would continue making a significant amount of money just from AdSense alone. So definitely do that because it's just easy money and it's free money and it's going to help your channel, right? And if anyone doesn't want to see ads, like we're talking about intelligent business owners here, get ad block, get YouTube Premium. We're intelligent business owners, like they're going to get these things, right? Like why would anybody actually, like anybody who gets mad at ads is too low IQ to buy your product, okay? So just don't worry about them. Just make some money off of them from AdSense. All right, machine mastery system. This is basically where you automate your content creation with checkpoints. And I made an entire video about this already, like how you kind of do the workflow at different team sizes and stuff like that, and who does which position, like who does which tasks, what positions do which tasks, and when you hire those different positions. And so you can definitely check that out. But this is incredibly important because we've seen people burn out on YouTube over and over again. There's an epidemic of YouTubers quitting. And the first reason is because they make high effort content. And then the second reason is because they don't have a good system for making content where they can take themselves out of the business. They can remove themselves from the business very easily. And they can put in those replaceable parts in the business that can take care of a lot of those really important tasks that you need to do. And this is incredibly important, guys. And this took me years to figure out how to do this correctly. I had to figure this out on my own, like reinventing the wheel, like being the first one to invent the wheel. I had to figure this out on my own. There literally wasn't even positions that were created that I had to create in order to figure this out properly. And this is incredibly important. It's a way of making your channel in such a way where it's sustainable, where you can take yourself out of the business so you can stop focusing in the business and you can start focusing on the business. right? Because that's really what you want to do. You don't want content creation taking up all of your time, right? That's the worst thing you want. You want to be able to focus on the important parts of your business, which is getting your clients success and making more money, right? So 7 is Apex Talent System and hiring staff. So this is how you hire the right people in the right order for the right positions. And again, this kind of goes in with machine mastery system. I had to figure this out from scratch. I had to figure out how to hire people, where to hire people, how much to hire them for, how to teach them, how to train them, when I hire them in the process, depending on how big your team size is, who is in charge of who else, like how do you structure the departments. I had to figure all of this out on my own. And there's a lot to this. I'll probably make an entire video on it. Let me know down below if you want me to make a video on that. But yeah, there's kind of a beginner way of doing it where you basically just hire one person and they're kind of like a YouTube executive assistant. That's what I call them. I actually hire that position for my clients that are in my higher ticket program. And that position is amazing because it's just going to save you a ton of time, and they can eventually develop into basically running your entire YouTube channel and overseeing other people on your channel. And then down the line, you'd have a small team of, maybe less than 5 people, but your channel and all your content creation, even the syndication on other channels, could be taken care of. So yeah, this is basically how it's done. The next steps would be you just refine the process, right? You look at where your bottleneck is, you figure out where your problems are, and you basically just scan this almost like a grid, and then just see which one is lacking, and then make it better and better. And that's basically what you do next. You just refine the process over and over again, making each one of these individual parts better and better over time. And that is how you grow and you build towards a $50,000 to $100,000 a month business on YouTube. And you would be surprised how fast you can get there. You can get there incredibly fast on YouTube. I've had people get to 10K per month within 18 days. One of my clients got to nearly 100K per month, so 7 figures a year in less than 6 months, right? So you can get there incredibly quickly, guys, if you do this right. If you dial these in, you really pay attention to this, you don't miss a single step, and you do these right. It's kind of like a chain link. You need to do all the steps right. But if you have all the steps right, it's almost impossible that you're not going to win. It's almost impossible to fail.